I want to thank our economic development directors for taking time out of their busy schedules, and they are busy. Our Lower Shore and Delaware, as we'll hear, are doing quite well. We're going to start with Dave Ryan. There will be some PowerPoints that you'll be able to see with some of the presenters. We asked the economic development directors to talk about a project or two or three that's key in their jurisdiction and how that relates to the overall economy in their jurisdiction. So we're going to run right down the line. We'll start with Dave Ryan. Just so you all know, speakers, to get everyone in and to allow time for Q&A, and we have microphones set up if you want to ask questions. We're going to have you timed, so when you see this young lady down here give you a signal you're approaching your 10 minutes. We're not trying to be impolite. We just want to get everybody in and give the audience time to ask questions. So welcome, Dave Ryan.
You're approaching your 10 minutes. For those that didn't hear, I told Bill he's approaching his 10 minutes right here. So, good morning. It's great to see everybody here today, and congratulations to the Chamber of Commerce on another terrific gathering. It's great that we can all, from 4, 5, 6 different counties, come together and talk about our economy, our regional economy, especially as we live in a fairly divisive world today. So it's great to see everybody here pulling for the same goals. As Bill said, we were asked to talk about a project or projects that we're currently working on or will be soon working on. And given the imbalance in the labor markets today and the staffing issues that we're hearing about today, I want to delve deeper into what's really happening in our labor market and what we can do about it. If we look at the years leading up to the pandemic, they were years of relative prosperity. The unemployment rate was low, and the common refrain we heard from businesses was, "I'm having trouble finding the people with the skill sets we need for the jobs that we have today." And today, as we recover from the pandemic, the common refrain is, "We're having trouble finding people." And that will change. But and right now, many people anecdotally say it's a worker shortage that we're experiencing. But the census numbers just came in, and half the counties in America lost population, and the other half gained population, roughly. We weren't one of those that lost. We were a county that gained population. So we have more people today than we did last year, than we did 5 years ago, than we did 10 years ago. So it's not necessarily a worker shortage that's happening in the marketplace today, but rather participation rates, worker participation rates in the labor market. And the question then becomes why? Why aren't more people participating in the labor market today? And it would make a great soundbite if there was just one reason, but I think it's a little more complicated than that. One, people have had a long time to think about their careers. Think about ourselves. How many of us have taken a long holiday weekend, maybe this past holiday weekend, and really reflected on our careers? Are we where we want to be, where we think we should be? Is there something else we should be doing to advance those careers? Is there something else we want to do? Do we want to start a business? If you're looking at your organization, are we on the right track? Is there something else we can do strategically wise? How many of us really have taken that time? And I don't think anyone else is any different. And they've had a long time to think about the career. So some are taking advantage. As now, this was the impetus, this pandemic. This is what's causing us to finally get that college degree. This is what's causing us to get the training we need, the certification we need to increase our income producing power. So some of that is happening in the marketplace. And with some financial cushion from stimulus payments and unemployment benefits and forced savings just from staying in, they have some more financially incentives to do that. Others may have been nearing retirement as the pandemic hit, and that was the impetus to cause early retirement. Sometimes early buyouts incentivize those early retirements. And this was the tipping point that says, this is it. I'm good. Others are waiting for higher vaccination rates to really feel a comfort level getting back into the workplace. Others may have taken remote work, and it's clearly more prevalent today than it was prior to the pandemic. Others are experiencing or analyzing that work-life balance, especially two-income households with both workers going to work and the kids going to school, do they have the confidence that the kids won't come back in the middle of the day? And then what do we do? And same thing in that work-life balance. Where is this what I really want to do? Is it worth working and paying for childcare? All of these things are happening simultaneously in very challenging times, and it's causing that imbalance, I believe, in the labor market today. All of that adds additional stress and additional pressures to the folks that are working. And we can see it. We can all see it every day. I believe in economics, and I believe in the law of supply and demand. I believe it will get better in 2022 as supply chains open up and the goods and services, there's a freer flow. Perhaps inflationary pressures that we're seeing today erode some of that consumer purchasing power, and that may free up some of that labor force as well. But eventually it'll be more normalized. And at that time, we'll ask ourselves once again, can I find the people with the skill sets needed for the careers and the jobs we have today? And that's one of our goals this year, is to really elevate the conversation, highlight the importance, and really promote workforce development and training. And if you think about it, throughout, not just Wicomico, but throughout our region, we have a strong base in which to work. Purdue Farms, the Learning Center, downtown Salisbury, they bring hundreds of people from all over the world through that Learning Center each year. Delmarva Power, they long had a training facility in their North 13 location, but now also in Northwood Industrial Park. Ride by Washington Switch Road and Choptank Electric, look in the back, you'll see poles coming up for lineman training. Companies themselves are having apprenticeships, on-the-job training in every sector of our economy today. We've trained over 100 welders through Archon Welding School. That led to sheet metal fabrication training. Now it's offshore wind training, a facility in Salisbury, one in Pocomo. Warwick Community College is getting ready to construct a 40,000 square foot building devoted solely to workforce development, emerging technologies, supply chain industries. Junior Achievements Vision is finally coming to fruition. A financial literacy, an achievement park, where thousands of kids go through and learn about the careers and financial literacy and careers that we have right here, and the pathway to get to those careers. And we don't have to wait till that's done. In March, they're going to have their Inspire event at the Civic Center here in Salisbury in person. Is there any reason we don't think of pre-K and K through 12 and our CTE programs as workforce development? Is there any reason we all, and look no further than here, but all of us collectively don't promote more of all of that, which we're already doing? We've recovered in Wicomico about 98% of our labor market. It will eventually go to 100%. At that time, the question will remain, can we attract the people with the skill sets we need for the jobs and the economic sectors that we have today? Elevating that conversation and promoting that both within our market area allows people here and residents here and employees here to know that there are careers here and there's a pathway to that career. And promoting it to the outside world and to prospective businesses says to those people that, yes, we understand workforce development is an important component to economic development. Yes, we understand talent will drive your business, and we're doing something about it, and this is what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Dave. And I think he's absolutely spot on. And you're going to hear this theme throughout the day with workforce development and our focus on attracting the necessary talent and labor to keep our businesses thriving. I know in Worcester County, we have a very unique landscape in terms of the seasonality and the requirement with Ocean City. So we have different challenges that we've been facing with the recruitment of the J1s, the H2Bs, and I know we've been working collaboratively through these issues with our different partners across the region, and it is regional. It's not just in one county. We're working regionally, so an event like this is really fantastic for us. We did have a very successful 2021, especially in Ocean City. The numbers were up over 2019, even with reduced hours. But again, the owners that are working 24/7, their cleaning rooms, their front of the house, we just can't sustain that. So we do need some long-term solutions to help our businesses be able to continue to thrive. When I was with you all last April, it wasn't on. Oh. When I was with you all last April, we were just a few months into launching our new rebranding effort with Maryland's Coast, and I have to say I'm thrilled of how successful it's been, even in the midst of this pandemic. As Dave was mentioning, attracting talent to our region, it's all about lifestyle, it's a quality of life, it's education, it's healthcare. So all of these components with our whole conglomeration of Worcester County Parks and Rec, Economic Development and Tourism really helps us sell our region, and I think that's going to really bode well for us. And actually, a few weeks ago, we even won a statewide award at the Maryland Tour and Travel Summit for our Maryland's Coast Naturally Cool branding effort in our new website. So we really were thrilled to be recognized at the state level for that. I'm going to actually take a different route. I'm going to talk about some specific projects we have going on, and feel free to cut me off because when Bill said a couple, I was like, oh, Lord. So, but I'm going to try and look at things in a priority. Of course, broadband. That's something that has been very, very top of mind in Worcester. We've had some great projects that have broken ground. We've been working on currently, they're laying conduit and fiber. The timeline's very much dependent on funding, though. There's a few grants that our county IT division has been working with to move forward, and the commissioners are planning to dedicate a good portion of the American Rescue Plan Act funds to broadband. But again, that point hasn't been determined yet. But at this point, we've also been working with Talkie Communications, Chop Tank, and even Chop Tank Fiber, Chop Tank Fiber as well as Simple Fiber. So it's really a multi-pronged approach. You're trying to give access to your rural counties, and then the interesting thing with Simple Fiber is really building up that infrastructure in the town. So they've actually been communicating with our county as well as our small towns and either as a public-private partnership, and this will certainly be a major priority moving forward. Something we're really going to be focusing on in 2022 is the opportunity with agritourism. I think I mentioned this when we met in April, but since then, the Worcester County Coning Zone was amended to redefine agritourism facilities in the agricultural zoning districts and incorporate uses such as agricultural production, and this includes wineries, breweries, meaderies, and other products, distilleries, etc. This really changes the landscape for us, and it frees up setbacks, it frees up the usage of the on-farm buildings, etc. And then we're also going to be moving forward at the state level, and I know we've talked with Delegate Hartman and Senator Carrozza and Delegate Otto about looking to redefine agritourism at the state level to include additional events such as weddings. And we're seeing that the outdoor events that are really attractive to our region really need to be expanded to include this and allow these businesses to move forward. Not only the existing businesses but to help us attract some new businesses, especially in the rural areas of Worcester County. Talked about workforce initiatives. We have a couple specific items that we're working on. Of course, we participate in a number of different regional platforms and groups, but we're getting ready to launch in January to the public our Coastal Careers Job Board. We've been fine-tuning this, actually working with D3 for the past year. It's a very, very robust platform. It's promoting not only seasonal jobs, year-round jobs and careers, but internships and apprenticeships. And right now, our workforce engagement specialist is working with businesses across the region to load those jobs in. And then we're going to do a really strong campaign in January where we're going to be able to showcase this platform and do some geofencing and some of the, around the Mid-Atlantic, different colleges and universities to try to attract people to Worcester County to, again, live, work, and play, not only seasonally but year-round. The other projects with regard to workforce, and I know the Chamber's here, and they've taken the lead on these workforce housing projects. That is a key component. Transportation and housing are always barriers. Childcare, we mentioned childcare earlier. These are things that we need to tackle. It's not just about having the job availability, but to making it attractive and accessible for our employees to come and work in our businesses. Also with healthcare, we do have a couple of major projects. The Tidal Health Pavilion is actually in its last phase in North Ocean Pines, and And then we just did a groundbreaking in September for the Godelski Family Medical Center on Racetrack Road. That again is going to be a 50,000 square foot medical center, comprehensive. It's giving that accessibility for outpatient, and again, with healthcare, access to healthcare, it makes our county much more attractive to come start a business, start a family, retire, etc. So again, a very important component of our economy. In line with the workforce training initiatives, we are continuing forward with our STAT program. This is skilled trades, agriculture, tourism, and technology. We did a pilot program with the Career Technology Education and Board of Education in August. It was very successful. We added a little bit of the skilled trades component, and this year it's going to be very robust. So we've been working with them collaboratively, and we're hoping to launch the internship program over the winter and spring, and then the summer's program for the camp for the in-school students. And again, that's working with the CTE, NASA, local businesses, the Tri-County Council, and we were able to leverage the Rural Maryland Prosperity Investment Funds with a match from Worcester County Economic Development. So thank you to Tri-County Council. I don't know if Greg Padgham's here. We actually talked this week, and really trying to use those funds in a very effective and efficient way to get young people excited about careers in the industries that are reflective of our community in Worcester County. Another big project, we actually met a few weeks ago with Secretary Hadaway Del Riccio Hadaway with DNR. Many of you know that we're having major issues with our commercial fishing harbor access. We actually met with Commerce, we met with a couple of local fishermen. We are losing vessels, and this is going to be a major project moving forward in 2022. Currently, the Army Corps dredges it twice a year. However, after 30 days, it's already silted up. So we've had groundings of vessels, we've lost oyster fishermen, we're losing a lot of commerce. And again, this is a regional issue. A lot of these things are regional. Although it might be, centered in Worcester County, these are things, that the product that comes into that commercial fishing harbor serves our entire region. So it's really important for us to maintain that and maintain that commerce. So that again is going to be a major project that we're going to focus on moving forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ocean City. I know Tom Perlazzo is going to be here later today if he's not here already to speak on a panel. And if you've seen or read in the paper, they are really working on a tremendous reorganization of their business development and tourism office. So you're going to see a lot of exciting things coming out that way in the next 6 months to a year. I can't imagine what's going to be going on next year at this time. Really focusing on the sales effort for economic development, tourism, attracting sports marketing. So I think there's going to be a lot of great partnerships. We've already established a lot of amazing partnerships between the county and Ocean City, so I'm looking forward to that. A couple of major projects, of course, the Phase 3 expansion of the Convention Center will be completed in January, 30,000 square foot, and it better be ready because Susan Jones with the HMRA is ready for her trade show this year. She was virtual last year, and so I know she's actually back at her office selling booths right now. So another major project, and again, this is still kind of up in the air. I know that there was a postponed meeting yesterday about this, but the Margarita Redevelopment. That is a huge development, 11th and 12th Street, upscale brand to downtown, 20,000 square feet of retail, 250 rooms, conference and convention space. I know they're working with some right-of-way and some other issues, but I think that this could really transform the downtown area and again create more product for us to attract meetings and conventions and different events. There's also the redevelopment of the 3rd Street complex, which is the sporting complex, which is going to help us again with the sports marketing initiatives. And that's kind of the last thing I would mention with Ocean City is the sports complex. Currently staking out locations right now. I know a lot of the funding has been put into place and a lot of partnerships. Again, a partnership with Worcester County as well as with Ocean City. And I'm just going to touch on these because I know I'm running out of time. In terms of the initiatives moving forward, we're going to be very strategic and targeted with our advertising efforts, looking at our key tourism assets through various niche campaigns, golf, shop local, outdoor adventure, and so on and so forth. And then the last thing I will mention, and I won't go into great detail, is with regard to a few of our very key and unique economic development products that we have, and you'll see on the screen, we're actually going to be running a creative campaign starting in January with the Arts and Entertainment Districts, the Video Lottery Terminal Fund, as well as the Manufacturing Machinery Tax Exemption to really help draw new business and retain existing businesses. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back at SU. I'm going to go ahead and start out with some economic indicators and cover some business sentiment and then a few industry highlights. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start out with housing. Demand is strong. There's been a 44% increase in average price sold since 2019. January through October for this year shows 518 units sold compared to 418 last year and 365 in 2019. 201 of the units sold in under 10 days, 315 sold within a month, and 129 of the units were bought with cash. I have the third quarter stats up on the screen. They're pretty impressive. Average prices have gone up from $212,000 in 2019 to $337,000 in 2021. So prices have risen $125,000 for the third quarter. Building permits have also gone up. We've had 464 building permits to date, compared with 374 in 2020 and 407 in 2019. Unemployment, I went ahead and used September's numbers. We were currently at 5.5 in September. That time last year, we were at 6.3, and then 2019, we're at a 4.2. So we're not where we were in 2019, but we're doing better than what we were doing last year. So this slide captures the results from the Business Sentiment Survey that was completed through the Eastern Shore Economic Recovery Project. I mentioned the project and the partners back in April at the last forecast. Since then, we've launched several tools over the summer that include a socioeconomic and demographic indicators, Maryland tax revenue dashboards, and a business sentiment survey. If you're interested in viewing in any of the dashboards, please visit the Delmarva Index. Our partners are on the screen. Some of the logos are hard to see, so I'm going to read them really quickly. Midshore Regional Council, Tri-County Council for the Lower Shore Workforce Alliance, Upper Shore Workforce Investment Board, ESRGC, Talbot, Caroline, and Dorchester County Economic Development Offices. So the idea behind the survey was to engage local businesses and gain insight on a range of topics, including workforce, wages, business conditions, sentiment, and strategies for improvement. This survey was delivered mainly through the Mid-Shore, through the Economic Development Offices, but we are expanding this to the Lower Shore in the future. The results on the screen are comprehensive, but I'm going to highlight a few of Dorchester's results for this presentation. Survey participants were mostly business owners, C-level, and managerial positions. Business sectors include agriculture, transportation, healthcare, retail, tourism, real estate, and more. So with the business sentiment, 72% of Dorchester participants believe that conditions will improve in the next 12 months. 60% believe that their business sector will improve in the next 12 months. 50% believe that unemployment will improve, and 50% believe that wages will be unchanged. So most of our businesses believe that conditions are going to be better, but only half believe that there'll be improvements with wages and unemployment. When asked about business barriers, labor force, supply chain, and inflation were the top three concerns, followed by funding, regulation, and demand. We are opening another survey this month and hope to continue every 6 months moving forward, and just want to thank Beacon and ESRGC for their help with this. So now I'm going to cover a few of our larger projects. This is the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Intergenerational Center at Chesapeake Grove. The facility is the only one of its kind on the Delmarva Peninsula. Chesapeake Grove will provide childcare to approximately 60 children from ages birth to 5. It's a senior center, and it also offers programs to individuals with disabilities. The space is designed specifically to address the modern citizen's expectations for community services and facilities. Similar facilities across the country have experienced, a therapeutic and beneficial model for everybody that's involved. The building is 42,000 square feet. It offers a gift shop, a coffee bar and lounge. It has a masseuse, a salon, a barber shop, computer lab, atrium, sunroom, meditation rooms, several activity rooms. It also has a full commercial kitchen that will serve daily meals at the center and also be used to package 300 individual meals that are delivered each day to Talbot and Dorchester counties. The center is expected to provide 50 new permanent jobs. I showed a similar side of the hospital back in April, but since it was completed in October, I thought I'd go ahead and just put it up here so everyone can see. I'm guessing that most people have driven past it on Route 50. If you haven't, check it out. I took the bottom picture this week. It is fully operational. It opened in October. It's 82,000 square feet. It has about 17 private emergency treatment rooms. It has behavioral assessment rooms, observation rooms, and several ancillary support services. So the Intergenerational Center and the hospital are two of our larger projects. There's also noteworthy development in our traditional industries of seafood, agriculture, manufacturing that are making headlines. Starting with seafood, we've had a new crab picking and oyster shucking house that's opened in Madison. It's called Madison Bay LLC. There aren't many oyster shucking houses on the shore, and it's actually a priority in oyster management. So the business is actually located in a building that had been vacant for 20 years. So we're really excited to see the improvements to the building and the growth in the industry. In agriculture, we have a farmer that's planted over 1,000 acres of miscanthus grass. The perennial grass is gaining momentum as an alternative bedding source in the poultry houses. It can also be used as a biofuel, textiles, and for erosion control. In manufacturing, Patriot Steel was awarded the Maryland Offshore Wind Capital Expenditure Grant, which enabled them to purchase a CNC robotic fabricator machine. They anticipate that once the Maryland offshore wind projects officially begin, they could double their size of employees and expand into their warehouse. So we continue to promote innovation and technology and look forward to partnering with emerging industries. I'd like to share a few more headlines before I close. Dorchester continues to be a featured location for home buyers. Public art is expanding in our downtown. Calta is the first cultivator in Maryland to launch a tissue culture lab program. 2 shopping centers have been renovated on Route 50. And lastly, National Geographic highlighted Dorchester County and the Eastern Shore under their Best in the World travel section as 1 in 25 amazing journeys for 2022. In closing, we've seen a lot of development in Dorchester this year. I believe the labor force, the supply chain, inflation will be a concern in the near future. That said, business sentiment is up. I believe Dorchester will continue to grow and move forward in the coming months. We are cautiously optimistic for 2022. Thank you.
Good morning. I was telling Dave, the reason they got this time clock on, man, it's not because of them, it's because of me. And I have a hard time staying on track. Bill knows that, so we're doing good. I've been checking, man. We're ahead of schedule. We're actually shooting. I got it. So anyway, I was thinking this morning, you know, I got an older brother named David. And I look at Dave, he's younger than I am, but I look at him as my older brother. He keeps me on track. And he called me up last week. He said, Danny, he said, you know they got a time limit. I said, yeah, 10 minutes. He said, look, man, I got something for you. He said, I'll help you out. I know you struggle with this. I said, what do you got? He said, I'll send it to you. He sends me this video, man, on YouTube, and it's speed talking, and it goes, and I was like, thanks, Dave. And then he sends another one. He says, remember that song, Take It to the Limit, one more time? Anyway, so I didn't get it either, but Dave knows. Jim knows what it is. Anyway, so thanks for having me again. So I got to operate this thing too. This is pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to do a real quick overview, and then I've got 3 projects I'm going to address. So we'll just get right off to it. City of Crisfield. A lot of things happen in the city of Crisfield. Sean was down there this week. We've got the plein air, the Crisfield Arts and Entertainment District is doing a big plein air thing, and they got about 25 artists that are in town. They're painting all over town, man, and, you know, kicking off the festival. It's really good. So if you don't have anything to do today after this beautiful conference and all, come on down there to Crisfield, check that out. So we've got that. A lot of demolition has been going on. They've tore down a lot of dilapidated buildings that were a safety issue. We've entered into some public-private partnerships. The mayor and the city of Chrisfield is working on a lot of infrastructure. We're trying to do more with social media, so we're doing a lot more ribbon cuttings. If you see me on Facebook, man, it's not because that's my thing. It's just what I got to do, right? So anyway, we're doing some ribbon cuttings. Town of Princess Anne, the industrial park is almost full. It started 17 years ago, and we've only got like 1 or 2 sites left. So it's almost full for all my realtors out there. If you want to come, now's the time, because you ain't going to come next year. I can tell you that now. So anyway, come on down. Main Street, I heard Melanie mention about Simple Fiber. We've been working with Simple Fiber as well, and Brett Davis, his team. They just did a new renovation of a building for Hawks Corner, right down for UMES. Beautiful. It's got 3 really nice apartments upstairs there. Down at Fairmount Rumley, I know that Mike Dunn, I don't know if Mike's here or not, but the Greater Salisbury Committee was down there at the Pit and Pub that's down there. Natural gas is almost done, should be completed by February. So we want to thank our good friends at Chop Tank. We've been working on broadband as well with Chop Tank, Charter, Talkie, and Simple Fiber. So anyway, that's some of the ones. I want to say the partnerships that we've got. We just had Economic Development Week back in October. I like to have a good time. I like to work. I like to have a good time too. And Economic Development Week, Dave invited me to Borderlow to his thing. They had their just bang up job, man. Melanie invited me down to Oak down there, another bang up job. I'm waiting for an invitation from my friend Bill and Susan for Dorchester, but I'm sure it's in the mail. But anyway, that's coming. But I do want to thank Susan for. So Susan, thanks for the introduction on the Delmarva Index. She had a presentation, brought the people down, and we had it at the Tri-County Council building in Salisbury. That's my overview. How am I doing? 5. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm on it. Okay. Element MD. Want to thank the Greater Salisbury Committee, the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. We had a function about a week ago, a couple weeks now, I guess, for Carville Hall. Who don't know Carville Hall? That's what I thought. Everybody knows Carville Hall. It's that place, man. I worked there 10 years. I got a lot of history there. It's a great old bones building. And fortunately, the city entered into an agreement with Element MD. It's a 70,000 square foot. Whoops, man, I got to get on this slide stuff. It's a 70,000 square foot building with 23 acres. We had a lot of support around Maryland Department of Planning. Just had a Brownsfield conference that was there, and it showcased one of the pictures. That one picture, if I got a pointer, does this have a pointer? No, probably don't. But anyway, one of them pictures, the one with the tubes coming down, that changes colors. It's pretty cool. I mean, it was like blue, red. I thought it was back in the 1970s. And anyway, that was pretty cool. We got Ted and KG that are up there. Great owners. They have a heart and a passion, man, for people and communities. After the event, they had a nice networking event down at the Talls Museum in Chrisfield. And I tell you, I haven't seen that much positive energy in Somerset County and Chrisfield, Sean, in a long time. It was just a good time down there. A lot of good networking. People come from all over. I had people from Howard County. They were growing hemp with farmers in Howard County and brought it down, and it's actually being stored in, I ain't going to tell you where it's at because y'all be down there. But it's being stored at a facility. It's got like 8,000 pounds of this product, and they're going to employ about 35 to 40 people. They're going to have child care on site, so we're looking for that. As a sister, that's going to be a cultivation part. Their sister operation is going to be in Princess Anne, the Princess Anne Industrial Park. Let me get this slide. There we go. Nope. There it is. It's a building that they purchased in 2020. They purchased it for around $400,000. It's located in Industrial Park. It's about 3.5 acres, 5,600 square foot building. It's minority owned, and they're going to be processing the hemp and they'll employ about 10 employees at that site right there in Princess Anne, and that'll be up and running real soon. Next project is in Westover. I want to thank the Maryland Department of Commerce, Medco, and the Governor's Office. This is a renewable energy project with anaerobic digestion, converting poultry litter into renewable energy. They are a partner with Chesapeake Utilities in converting that to natural gas. 150,000 tons of poultry litter will be recycled annually. $325 million capital investment. It's 133 acres, 26 jobs, and they're looking to do their groundbreaking spring of next year. Next one. This is a cool project too. Somerset Crossing. This is right across from UMES Boulevard, right at the entrance of Princess Anne on the west side of 13. It's 65 acres. The developers have bought an additional 100 acres surrounding that for future growth. They've got 4 commercial pad sites that'll be on the highway there. There'll be 1 to 4 acres. They got a 50,000 square foot site for a hotel, another 50,000 square foot for medical office space or professional office space. Mixed-use housing will be there, and then they've got about, what is that number, 80,000 in retail space that will be in that. That's a really nice project. I want to thank the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. My good friend Jim is here, Somerset County Commissioners, for having the vision and the passion to carry this to the next level. The town of Princess Anne, State Highway. There's going to be a full stoplight there, so slow down. I'm telling you, it's coming. Going to be a full stoplight there. And the developers have already kicked in the resources to have broadband, because Chop Tank is going to be setting up right there. So next thing is going to be natural gas is going to be coming there. Look, that's where I want to live. They got everything right there, man. That's the state of the art, 2022, you know, whatever is coming. Royal Farms, everybody got Royal Farms, but I like Royal Farms. I ain't nothing wrong with it. But I mean, for y'all, it's probably not exciting, but for us, man, you know, we like to have that stuff. That. How am I doing? 45 seconds. I don't have no more jokes. I'm good. Bill, I'll redeem my time to you, man. Good job.
Good morning. Thank you for having me back again this year. I don't know how you follow the last speaker. So if my slide presentation works correctly, it's going to scroll through a bunch of slides. So most folks are aware of what Sussex is known for: world-class beaches, tourism, agriculture, and a friendly business environment, a great place to retire or to invest in a second home. All of this is true, but today I'm going to talk about the other side of Sussex County. The U.S. Census reported a 20% increase in population in Sussex County over the last 10 years. And with that has come a corresponding uptick of investment in healthcare. Healthcare systems like Bay Health, BB, Tidal Health, Christiana Care, Nemours, Atlantic General have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in state-of-the-art facilities throughout Sussex County. With that investment comes the need for healthcare workers, doctors, technicians, nurses, clinical staff. We're well aware of it. We predict the healthcare sector will remain strong in Sussex County in the future and be a major employer for years to come. To ensure businesses have room to grow, we developed an extension of our Delaware Coastal Business Park, which is contiguous to the Delaware Coastal Airport. And in that new business park, the new section, it's 100 acres, we completed phase 1, and we actually have sold out of phase 1, and we just put out the bid this week, the completion for phase 2. We also took the park through a foreign trade zone designation a few years back, which helps the manufacturers save money if they're using foreign products to manufacture. Recent tenants featured custom plastic molding company with contracts in the defense, the medical, and the automotive industry, and a high-tech LED lighting manufacturer who also diversified during COVID to produce a line of N95 face masks. Now I want to talk about Seaford, Delaware, a place that is experiencing a revitalization. You all know probably about 10, 12 years ago, DuPont closed. The county, the city, and the state joined forces with KRM Development in a public-private partnership to create the new Western Sussex Business Campus, featuring site pads for commercial buildings designed in the 50,000 square foot range. Construction on the campus began earlier this year, and infrastructure is going in the ground today with the intent for the first building to open in 2022. Also in Seaford, just up the road, Amazon is locating one of its newest distribution centers in the area that's once saw the DuPont nylon shipped by the truckloads. The initial 100,000 square foot facility is scheduled to be completed early 2022 and will bring hundreds of direct and indirect jobs to the western side of the county. With Seaford's history of manufacturing, these investments are a welcome sign to the city's bouncing back to prosperity. Now let's skip over to Selbyville, Delaware. Avalanche Industry specializes in high volume sales, online sales. Their employees ship about 350,000 units and 300 pallets of goods in a month. The company's online sales, over the last 10 years, they've spent $3.2 million in advertising, and they've realized over $70 million in sales. We all know that small businesses are the backbones to a local economy. In Sussex, we have some famous microbrews. Dogfish Head, the state's first microbrew. We also have Proximity Malt in Laurel, Delaware. We were happy to land that company. They take locally grown barley, thus the name Proximity, and produce malt for the craft brewery industry, the distilleries, and the culinary businesses throughout North America. Two small businesses located in Sussex have a global reach. With these businesses, they produce products that are shipped throughout the United States and Central America. Crystal Steel, located in Delmarva, Delaware, and Amica SPE, located in Laurel, Delaware, specialize in fabricated steel and steel pile splices for concrete. Some of their clients include the MetLife Stadium, the Philadelphia Airport Pedestrian Bridge, and the Disney Seaport at Cape Canaveral. One small success includes a boutique bakery for dogs named Tailbangers, located in Millsboro, Delaware. They're a specialty shop that produces treats, donuts, cookies, and the owner started this business out of her own kitchen and has grown the business to a 5,000 square foot facility located in Millsboro with over 65 employees and $6 million in sales. The little company now sells and ships products to over 3,000 pet stores across the country, and you can even find her product in Disney World at the pet store called the Happy Hound. Now let's get back to Bridgeville. The Frozen Farmer in Bridgeville is a homegrown business that started on the family farm and made it all the way to Hollywood. The family decided they were going to make ice cream or sorbet with fresh fruit and vegetables they couldn't sell in their store. Fast forward to March of 2020, when the growing business appeared on ABC Shark Tank, and the story is they landed a partnership with Lori Grenier. Now, let's move back to Georgetown, to our airport. If you're looking to fly high, look no further. than the company called Aloft, who is located at the Delaware Business Airport in Georgetown. Aloft specializes in auxiliary fuel tank installation and owns the patent for the Boeing business jet fuel tank expansion. It has expensive clients including American Airlines, Turkish Airlines, and the U.S. Air Force. They employ approximately 250 employees. They are also known as the V and VIP interior upgrades to private jets. Owners have their private planes flown to Georgetown, Delaware, to have their personal taxis tricked out to a level that exceeds most people's homes in this room. The upgrades run millions of dollars and features such lavish improvements as gold-plated appliances, gold-plated furniture, along with cutting-edge technology for a lap of luxury in the air. So that's a quick look at the other side of Sussex County, where the sky is the limit for our future and economic success. Thank you.
We have time for Q&A, so I've got a mic. Raise your hand for any of the directors or all of the directors. If you have a question for them, we've got time to do Q&A. I'll ask Bill this first. How was your tourist season impacted positively or negatively in your beach towns?
The tourist season had a bang-up year. And I will tell you, the restaurant industry, the trickle-down impact of the tourist season, everyone we spoke to had their best year ever.
David, at the end of your discussion, you said one of the most important things is to attract new residents to the area, or attract people to the new workforce that are trained. How do we do that? What are we missing? Obviously, workforce development is important, training the people that we have here. But what amenities, what do we don't have here that would attract new residents to the area?
Well, I was referring to the attracting prospective businesses to the area, which you would theoretically think residents would perhaps follow that. But I think today's world, talent precedes business locations. In other words, if they can't find a talent where they are, what makes them think they can find talent here? So my purpose was to promote what we're doing already, and I believe the more we promote to the outside world, the prospective businesses, not only do we get that message that talent is important, but I also think it leads to more training programs that we'll develop within. And I think collectively we can all do more and look no further than here in terms of promoting that. But as the mayor knows and active county executive knows, is creating that environment where people want to be. And it's a loaded question. I appreciate the question, but so housing component, the affordability, the availability of housing is an important component. So if people choose to be here for whatever reason, for a job or a family, for whatever reason, they actually have an option to live here. Otherwise, they'll gladly live somewhere else and gladly drive into work. And a 20-mile commute in the Eastern Shore is 18 minutes, right? It's not a 40-minute drive along the Beltway. So, housing component going forward, I think in Wycomico and perhaps throughout, especially Maryland, is going to be a critical component so people can live here. Otherwise, they live somewhere else and you tax people by place of residence. And they live somewhere else, they pay taxes somewhere else, kids go to school somewhere else, they go to church somewhere else, and you kind of lose that ancillary economic activity. So housing, I think, is an important component, but training will drive us forward and for the years to come.
Other questions? I had a quick one for Melanie. Melanie, something that we brokered a meeting with Tom Perlazzo from Ocean City's Economic Development and Tourism and Lachelle Scarlatta, who's the Greater Ocean City Chamber exec, with Senate President Ferguson about the seasonal workforce housing issues in that resort town, which is a big issue. What light can you shed on that?
Well, what we're seeing is that as a result of 2020 and not having our 4,000 J1 workers for seasonal housing, a lot of those landlords converted to short-term rentals, so VRBO, Airbnb, and then they found that that was maybe a little bit more lucrative, a little bit easier. So, and actually, Lachelle's here. She would probably be able to speak to the Holt project. I know they're working with a public-private partnership to work with the city. They're looking at locations, possibly even in West Ocean City. And again, that's one piece of the puzzle. Glenn Irwin with the Ocean City Development Corporation is working on a couple of different projects downtown. But I think it's going to take effort from, like you said, the state level to be able to help with funding, with tax incentives, tax credits for these private investors to come in and create this workforce housing. But then there's the transportation issue. So if you're looking in West Ocean City, you know, a lot of the seasonal workers that come in don't have transportation. They might have a bicycle or what have you, then you have the safety issue. So they're really trying to also create the walkability and bikeability of the West Ocean City corridor into Ocean City, public transportation. So it is a multi-pronged approach. I know the model they were looking at out in Wisconsin, Dells, Wisconsin, where they see about the same number of J1 workers, they have a very, I think, robust complex, whereas we're kind of looking at smaller complexes that might fit together at different locations throughout the town. And of course, on the island, I mean, the property values are so incredibly high, so you've got that challenge there as well. So, but it's definitely something that has been top of mind. I know the Chamber has really taken the lead on that and really, I think, made some great headway. And we talked about it for years. Housing has been an issue for years, and not just the availability, but the quality of housing. But this whole COVID situation really thrust us, I think, to really make this a number one priority for Worcester County. And we do appreciate this was actually added to the SEDS document, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, when we met with Tri-County Council, the Workforce Housing Project. Even though it's specific to Worcester, we looked at it as a regional project, so we do appreciate that.
I'm going to ask Bill Pfaff the same thing. When we had the Rehoboth Beach mayor with us in October, there was an audience question about workforce housing or moderate housing in Rehoboth Beach, and he chuckled and said, we don't have any of that in Rehoboth Beach. So where do your workers at your beach towns reside?
Well, it is a major problem. We're working, as a working group, we're working on a very similar project as that was just stated. We met a few weeks ago with a private company that we're looking at a facility maybe in the Bethany Beach area and one in the Rehoboth Beach area that would service, the Rehoboth would service Lewis, Rehoboth and Dewey, Bethany would service Fenwick Island. And again, from a transportation standpoint, we realize that we have about 2,800 J1 students that work along our coastline, as well as other students, local students that work in the area. And our local students have cars, J1s, they're using bicycles, so that's an issue. One of the problems we're faced with, we're looking for locations maybe where we could build these dormitory style facilities with maybe condos on the first floor, dormitories on the second and third floor. First floor would actually help the healthcare industry for the traveling nurses, the traveling technicians that work in our healthcare system, and the top two floors would be for the seasonal worker. One of the problems that we have is, again, just like our counterpart in Maryland, is transportation. Transportation's a big issue. And the other piece is land values in Sussex County. Hey, they're high. And if you can if you ask for workforce housing for around $300,000 and the developer can put a home, that same lot, and they can sell a $800,000 home, it's a tough situation to convince developers to get involved in it. So what we're doing is we're bringing an outside company in. So we have the same problem.
Questions from the audience? Just raise your hand. I'll bring the mic to you. Oh, wait. Hold on, Shauna. They won't be able to hear you in the back.
Hi, guys. How are you? You are my favorite part of this event. Welcome to Salisbury. My question is for Director Purcell. We have our delegates, and this question is designed to tie you into our afternoon with our delegates who are heading into Annapolis for session for 2022. So on the agenda for us as a business community is the $15 an hour minimum wage. That for the tipped workers, that sort of got scooped into the whole policy that was enacted in 2020. What instructions do you have for the delegates as they go to Annapolis for 2022?
Well, the minimum wage issue is very near and dear to my heart. In my tenure at the Ocean City Chamber of Commerce, we were up there, I think 3 different sessions in a row before it eventually was passed, bringing up our restaurants, our retail, a lot of the seasonal businesses, of how that would impact and the compression issues and things of that nature. With regard to the tipped wage, and I think you'll hear this by every single hospitality worker, they don't want it. And there's a concern that it will, again, exacerbate the workforce issue. If they can't make those tips and be providing that level of service, it could impact service, it could impact a lot of different things. I think in some areas it might be beneficial, but in a resort community where hospitality and tourism is your driver, I would say, and I would also want to chime in with the Hotel Motel Restaurant Association, the Chamber, the other business organizations, that we would not be supportive of lumping the tipped wage in with the minimum wage. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. I have another question, and this one is for Dave, Executive Director Ryan, and Executive Director Banks. So COVID, we had a lot of tension with COVID, push and pull of tension that really kind of forced us to work together. And you guys, I think we heard last year, you guys really dug in there and leveraged your relationships, your networks in solving the challenges that came to you for COVID. And thank you for being here from Sussex County. So now that COVID is sort of moving out, right, we have new tensions that are going on, a lot of new pushes and pulls, and I think we can call them stagflation is probably the word that is being thrown around. How are you guys doing? Are you guys still working together? That's the question. How are you guys doing cross-collaborating together as we move into this new evolution of our business community?
When you say together, are you talking together, or are you asking with our businesses?
Director Purcell mentioned that you had this cool job board that I think sounds amazing. Are you sharing that with Director Banks and her group, or Danny, or how are you guys cross-collaborating these infrastructure resources?
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, because initially it was, we stemmed that project with some CARES Act funding that we were able to secure for that project. And as we moved forward, we were like, well, it's a Worcester County project, and then working with our team and then participating in a lot of these regional, workforce development is very regional. And the need's very regional, because what we're finding is that a lot of the job seekers might be, say, in Wacomico or Dorchester, or even in Somerset County, and the resources. So you've got job training, you've got Goodwill Industries, you've got different things that are creating a worker that then we might need in Worcester County. So in fact, that although we've created this job board, we are also talking about making it regional and available to our partners. So I think the more that we can work regionally, the better. And I think we all have a really great working relationship, and many of us have known each other for many, many years in different capacities. So that's, I worked for the Tri-County Council for quite some time, so I love working regionally, and I think it's really important. And, even over state lines, over county lines, it's not just from an economic development standpoint, but also from a tourism standpoint. We always say that with Ocean City and Worcester County, the guest doesn't know when they cross over that Route 50 bridge that they're leaving Ocean City and going into the county. So it's really important for us to serve our job seekers, serve our businesses, serve our guests, everybody in a regional manner, I think is important. So.
And I would say yes. So, a lot of the grants that we're working on are regional too. So with the Eastern Shore Economic Recovery Project, that's an EDA grant that is being managed through the Midshore Regional Council, and I mentioned it, and Tri-County Council of the Lower Shore, and I mentioned it earlier today. But right now, Caroline Talbot and Dorchester counties are working together and have been working together for over a year. And in June, it'll be 2 years on several initiatives. And we are leaning towards the workforce. It started off business related. Now, as you said, some of our challenges have changed, and labor force and supply chain are a huge issue. And so some of our efforts are changing towards worker sentiment now.
Questions?
We good?
Yep. Got one back here.
No, I mean,
Dave,
you
I'm
kidding
sorry,
me?
Dave.
Wait a minute. 10 minutes haven't even started yet.
I know, sorry.
Kidding me? No, I think you're looking at 5-4. Danny, Danny, you're in. Pretty friendly competitors. 5 pretty good drivers. We look nicer maybe up here than we do on the battlefield sometimes, but I think we're friendly competitors, and if anything, the pandemic probably brought us closer together. We just had to really turn quickly and communicate even more so than we have in the past. Thank you. Wish.
All right, question.
I guess this affects Bill and Melanie more than anybody else, but I'd welcome anybody's response. With all the kind of knee-jerk panic reactions to Omicron and the idea that we don't know what's going to happen between now and next summer, if you can't get J1 students next year, and we're already seeing how many restaurants are shutting down hours, they're limiting staff, limiting availability to dine in. How are the resort communities going to deal with that if we don't have that as an option? Is there a plan B?
Yes, and I think it's, like I mentioned with the housing, it's going to be multi-pronged. That's precisely why we have kind of created this Coastal Careers Job Board. We're not just going to put it out there and let it sit. We're going to actually target. So we're going to geofence colleges. We're up and down the Mid-Atlantic. So again, that's going to be one component. I think being more aggressive with our getting folks from the southern end, again, transportation. But if in fact we don't see any J1s the way we did pretty much in 2020, it's going to be troublesome. But I will say, because of that, it's made the businesses learn that they can't be so reliant on that pool of applicants. I do think, though, we're going to, if again, we don't see them again, we're going to see the reduced hours, we're going to see, closing a day a week, giving them the existing employees a break. But the more, we had like 4 job fairs last year. We're really trying to do things virtually, in person, as well as, I think, using social media. And the problem with, we don't see the college kids anymore the way we used to. It used to be that rite of passage. You would come and work in Ocean City your first couple summers or throughout college. And again, it's the housing. So the more we can kind of regulate, I think, the cost of housing. And when we talked about these workforce housing projects, this isn't just about J1s. This is seasonal workforce housing or year-round workforce housing. So it's the affordability is not just about the J1s that come in. It has to be, I think, a multi-pronged approach. But it is concerning. We're certainly hopeful, but I do think that the businesses have been able to really adapt and figure out how they can still make a profit without relying so heavily on that population. But they're gassed. I mean, a lot of them even will say, gosh, I don't know if I can do another summer. But again, our business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're resilient, they make it work, but we'll just do our best, different approaches to try to fill that void. I don't have a magic, answer for that, but let's just hope that, this gets under control and that we'll be on pace again next year, at least with a good chunk of the seasonal workers that we saw in 2019.
I think a lot of that boils over into Sussex County. We have been working on a Plan B. As you know, we have a lot of local students, a lot of school districts in Sussex County, and our goal is maybe to have a busing system from those schools, maybe use the school bus systems the school buses that are actually not used in the summertime, maybe work with some of the businesses to have their own busing system to bring high school students. One of the big problems is with high school students, there's a lot of entitlement today. When I was growing up, I worked, but a lot of high school students today, they don't want to work. They don't need to work. So we have to sort of change that mindset. So we're actually going out to the local districts to sell that idea. And then, of course, we're doing outreach to our local colleges as well. But it is an issue. And, you know, I will tell you, we've interviewed a number of our restaurateurs, and you know, we're the culinary coast over in Sussex County. I will tell you, during COVID, a lot of the big restaurant chains, local chains, will tell you, they had a better dollar figure during COVID than they had in a regular season, because they were able to reinvent themselves. And I think that's the resiliency we've seen in all our coastal community businesses, that the ones that really work their business were able to reinvent themselves and draw the customer to the front door. And the restaurant industry alone has done a wonderful job at that. So.
My question relates to COVID funding. So what areas in your counties have benefited the most from COVID funding?
I don't know how to answer that question. To date, we've deployed just under $14 million to just over 1,200 small businesses in Wicomico County alone. I suspect we put a little more dollars into the restaurant and the hospitality industries than perhaps others. They seem to have taken the brunt of the pandemic and the early parts of the pandemic. The pandemic gave us an opportunity to really get to know a lot of small businesses in our community. And Bill's quite right. The resiliency is remarkable, especially when facing uncertain and very challenging times. So our funds were not meant to be the end all, but combined with PPP or EIDL or other programs, I think it allowed hundreds and hundreds in Wicomico, and I'm sure my neighboring counties, to live another day when it was really difficult in the summer of 2020.
I did want to also mention, and we probably deployed about $10.5 million to small business, restaurants, hotels, but I'm also the DMO, which is the Destination Marketing Organization. So I'm the tourism director for Worcester County. And we were also, through Department of Commerce, able to get some additional CARES Act grant funding to promote. So we did what they called a hometown grant. We did shop local. So we were able to also spend extra dollars on promoting our destination, in addition to giving the funding directly to the businesses. So again, you're helping the businesses stay afloat, but then we're also driving visitation to those businesses. So that was kind of a little bit different perspective on how we were able to deploy some of the additional CARES Act funds in Worcester County.
In terms of Sussex County, you know, our population in the state of Delaware is less than 1 million. So the way the funding stream came through Delaware, it all came directly to the state. So the counties, Sussex County did not, on the first round, didn't get any money. So all the programs that were offered by the state, Sussex County businesses were had the opportunity to apply. And as Dave said, you know, DPP, EDIL, I mean, there's so much money out there. Even our business owners would call us and say, where do I go? They were confused. So we still get that call. We have some money that's EDA has out on the street today just for tourism. And our funding stream, our grant program ends today. So hopefully we'll know here before the end of December who the awardees are. There's about $333,000 that's allocated to Sussex County. And we'll know here within the next week or so who's applied for that.
Hello, everyone. This is Diamond Weze. I have a question for one of the young ladies on the panel. One of you guys mentioned geofencing colleges in relation to targeted advertising for trying to get more employees for Ocean City and Worcester County. I was wondering if you could go a little bit more into that. I know that there are a wealth of students on campus, because personally I'm from UMES and I work at UMES. So there are a wealth of students that would like to participate, but they don't have the transportation and they don't have the housing. So I'd love to get that information out to them, and that would give them more incentive to stay on campus during the summer and, you know, also put their money into this area, because most of them and a lot of the students from UMES are from PGDC in Baltimore, and I'd love to get them accustomed to this area and everything that we have to offer. So I was wondering if you can go.
Well, that's music to our ears.
Yeah.
So, in fact, in a lot of our workforce groups that we've had, some, subcommittees, and Senator Mathias, he's been part of those with UMES, representing UMS, and then your new dean of the hospitality division. So we've talked about, both from SU and from UMES, is how, especially as students that are off campus, because a lot of times your leases are year round, right? So, if you can stay and work in Ocean City or at a restaurant in Wacomico County, how much better that would be, because then you're also, still continuing to pay rent. So if we've talked about how can we maybe utilize some of the shuttle services, the UMES, and even through shore transit or private sector. We've talked to some private sector transit companies to coordinate that. And when I mentioned geofencing, so essentially that would be serving up ads on your phone or what have you that says, hey, these jobs are available. This is what the pay rate is. These are the incentives. These are the signing bonuses to get you to it's kind of a call to action. So again, trying to serve those up in geographical areas where we know there's universities or people that might fit the bill that would fit to the jobs, especially the seasonal jobs that we have available. But I think the more that we can communicate with the universities, especially Salisbury and UMES, I mean, you're right here in our backyard. But I would love to continue that conversation and see if there's a way that we can work out some kind of a system, or even have a pool, even if it's a handful of students that we want to do a pilot program. I know that there was a pilot program that was held this summer in Ocean City with the Maryland Hospitality Training Institute out of Baltimore. They actually had 100 students that were brought to Ocean City. The housing was provided by the employer. And again, it was fairly successful because it was new, but there was some funding with the State Department of Labor, so we might even be able to secure some funding for transportation. So at this point, we are all about ideas, we're all about brainstorming and partnering and seeing how we can work with the universities to get the students that might not necessarily want to go home and work, but want to stay here and work at the beach and stay on the shore and enjoy all the amenities that we have. So I'll give you my card.
We have some impromptu information in that regard. Pam?
Hi, I'm the head of hospitality and tourism for UMES.
Nice to meet you
Nice to meet you in person. I know we've seen each other online. Actually, we're progressing quite well with a grant application to solve a lot of these issues. Housing, transportation, and creating a pipeline of employees. So I actually just sent it around to the university Monday, and I think we're doing quite well. So in a nutshell, if we allow for academic programming over the summer, students, not just UMES students, but students from other universities as well, can reside on our campus. The grant would also encompass transportation to get them from the campus to Ocean City, and then we're working with different hospitality companies to create that opportunity, that pipeline for employees. Also, what we want to do is an enrichment program where we bring Ocean City to UMES to sort of create that affinity for the region.
That's fantastic, and it's so great to meet you in person. I know one of the things we talked about, I think it was even pre-COVID, here at Salisbury University at the Purdue School, they have what's called the Applied Business Learning Experience Program. So when you're in the professional program, you have to do like a 100-hour internship in your field. And so with the hospitality program at UMES, I know that that's been something that you were starting to initiate. So that would again be another way for us to get these young people engaged. And again, all these opportunities are right here in our backyard. So thank you. It's so great to hear from you.
I want to thank Dave, Melanie, Susan, Danny, and Bill. How about a round of applause for our great economic development directors?